I'm off to catch up with Simon Hands for a cheeky pint and talk about Modelo Capital and what's happening in hospitality right now. Simon, thank you for coming on PCTV.
Thank you for having me.
How have you been?
Good. Difficult times.
I feel so privileged that I've got you in the country.
Yeah, just for a short time. A short time, not long.
Simon, you're one of the most busiest people in the industry. I can't wait to hear what projects you're working on. So tell us what you're doing.
Fortunately enough, yes. Difficult times, obviously, for everybody at the moment. Modelo Capital is a business of mine that I'm involved in. There's 5 of us on the board. So we are an asset management investment company. We look after investments for our clients and in some cases our own. Mostly in London, but in some cases in Barcelona, in Spain, certainly in the Middle East. We've done a lot of work there as well, in Beirut, Lebanon, over in Dubai. But yeah, now back in London.
So we met, 4 years ago when you was at D&D?
Yeah, Madison and 100 Wardour Street.
We had some great times, didn't we?
We did. Great times on the roof.
Do you miss them?
I suppose the honest answer is yes, of course. You always miss various businesses that you own or run and manage and operate. But yeah, 8 great years there. Enjoyed my time, but onwards and upwards and onto new things, I suppose.
What do you think about your old company and sort of big chains in hospitality at the moment?
I mean, I've got the utmost respect for Des, the chairman of D&D. You know, he's a phenomenal operator. But D&D works very, very differently to most chain-branded businesses. All of their restaurants are very individual, and they're designed that way and run and operated that way. So I think you get a different offer. I think ultimately the brands that they own and operate are very individual in style, food, design, atmosphere, and I think they'll stand the test of time, I think.
And what do you think about the state of play in London right now since the lockdown's been lifted?
I think it's getting harder, if I'm honest. I'm a London lad, and if you walk around the streets of London, you see just empty streets. There are handfuls of businesses that are busy, but primarily a lot of people are still remaining closed. There's a real nervousness around the market. I don't think people are going out, even though they can. And I think that's to the detriment of our business, unfortunately. But that's the scenario we're facing at the moment.
So you have your ear to the ground on everything in hospitality. What are you advising your clients right now in terms of on the investment side?
Our key strategy really is, it's long-term planning ahead. Short-term, we are going through a very difficult period at present, and that's obvious to the market. But I think we're advising that if investors are staying strong and true to the core principles of hospitality, be that in great design, music, atmosphere, the consumer wants a lot more today than what they've ever have required and requested, and that's up to us as hoteliers, hospitality operations professionals to deliver that.
Yeah.
So our main focus is, it's not about just investing money for the sake of investing money and wasting money. We really advise on strategically planning, certainly in terms of marketing and PR, but also about design. But it goes down to the old sort of fashioned values in business. Choosing the right location and having a great product always stands people in good stead.
I know you're a great guy, but there's a question I would like to ask you. Why do you think so many people gravitate to you for advice in hospitality?
Why? It's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
I think probably my varied career background, I suppose. Having started at Le Gavroche many, many years ago with Albert and Michel Roux, and then worked for Paul, the bakery brand, and then I've been international for many years at Novikov in Moscow, and then Beirut, Lebanon, and then Dubai, and then back to London. I think having an international background probably helps. I think being successful, we've all got weaknesses and we've all got gaps, but certainly being successful helps. And good people work with good people, I think, ultimately.
So you spend a lot of time abroad. I know we're talking about London hospitality at the moment, but how's the rest of Europe coping right now?
Barcelona's tough. We've got some businesses there that are struggling, but the team are resolute, and we'll get through it. I think the challenges with Spain, certainly as a market, is that it opened and the lockdown was ended, but now it's gone back into a second lockdown. I think the tourist market is going to suffer, certainly, and has done, but it'll bounce back. we're confident it'll bounce back.
Do you think that the hospitality industry can survive in London with how things are at the moment?
I think there's already casualties, as you've seen. There's various brands that have either, shortened their portfolio of assets, or in some cases, completely closed down business, which is unfortunate, especially for the people. Our business is a people business, and they've suffered massively. So yes, I think long term they can, but short term, I think there'll be more casualties to come.
Do you think that 2021 will be the year of the startup?
I think you're going to get a lot more entrepreneurship in hospitality.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see many more of the chain businesses that we see today. I think they're becoming obsolete almost, which is a shame because some of them are great operators, but as branded businesses, you have to evolve with the times, and some of them haven't, and they've sort of fallen by the wayside. But I think you're going to get more entrepreneurial startup hospitality businesses that are actually not really owned and operated by hospitality professionals. In some cases, look at Louis, for example. A good friend of both of ours. He's a nightclub operator.
Louis Blake at Chloe. Yeah.
So a nightclub operator, really by background, and a fashion guy and a music guy, and a super cool guy. And look what he's doing in our business. It just shows you it doesn't have to be an out-and-out restaurateur that runs and operates those businesses.
Let's talk about recruitment now. We're coming to the end of the furlough scheme. How important do you think it is to be multi-skilled these days?
I think it's more prevalent today than it ever has been. I think we would always encourage our team certainly to be multifaceted in the way they run and operate businesses, but that's just my management style and my team styles. But I think today the bartender needs to know reception, the reception needs to know the reservations need to know events, and all of those roles in our business need to cross over, because headcount will shorten. I think headcount will naturally shorten, payroll will become tighter, so businesses are going to be reliant on their teams ever more so.
Do you think technology will play a huge role in the new world that we're going to go into now?
See, I thought about this, but yes and no, and I'll explain what I mean by that. I think our business is a people business. It's a front facing, it's a conversation, it's eye contact, it's body language, and I don't think that'll ever change. I think technically it will become different, maybe in terms of ordering processes perhaps, and the way you pay the bill and those transactional movements, but our business is a people business, and people go to great restaurants, hotels, members clubs for the atmosphere, for the crowd, for music, lighting. So people play a huge part in that bit of our business.
What's your favourite place in London to go and wine and dine, or have a drink with friends, or just go and hang out?
Soho House, probably.
Yeah.
Very, very consistent business. Chiltern Firehouse, love it there. And
why though? What makes them special for you?
What makes them special? They remember you, which is quite rare. Being remembered in a city like London, where 10 million people live here, that's quite special. And it's only the small details that matter. So in most of those cases, those businesses remember faces, which is quite a nice touch. They get you your favourite drink or your favourite table where you want to sit. So that means a lot to the consumer, I think.
And when do you think you're going to be opening your own venue where we can finally work together on a huge project?
Again, 2021.
Really?
I think that's probably the timeline. We've just finalised legals for a site in Knightsbridge, and we were due to do that at the end of 2020, but we've pushed that back now to 2021. So we'll be working together next year, I'm sure.
I love your positive energy. I love we chat a lot during the week and speak about what you're up to. And I don't think there's anyone that I know in hospitality that is as driven as you, and it's a testament to you. So my question there is, what motivates you? How come you've got such a drive to make a name for yourself in this business?
I think it probably comes down to, in my view, that's all you've got. Success comes and goes, wealth comes and goes, but you've only got your reputation and your name really at the end of it, and that's really very important. So I think that's probably what motivates me. I think making a successful business is always a huge motivation, but also the team around that. It's nice to work with guys and girls that are, sort of 18, 20 years old, and they work for you for a number of years, and then they become assistant managers, restaurant managers, bar managers, and in some cases general managers. I couldn't tell you the number, quite a few now that are actually very successful restaurateurs in their own right that have worked under me, which is probably the biggest motivation.
Who do you look up to in the industry?
Who do I look up to? Apart from yourself?
Apart from me.
Before you retired?
You touched on Michel Roux.
Yeah, I think from a fine dining perspective, yes. Jean-Michel Oriot, who I work with at Paul, and Ping Pong, I worked with him for 5-6 years, was a huge inspiration and a real great teacher and leader. And even Des, Des at D&D really looked after me very, very well. I had 8 great years at Madison and 100 Wardour Streets, which is a huge business to run and operate in London. So yeah, Des as well was a huge inspiration, certainly. How
much do you think you've learned over this period, personally?
I think if you haven't learned, you've made a mistake. Just as people generally, I think you value family more. I think friendship, your real friends. Mm-hmm. I think when lockdown came, if your phone didn't ring for people being concerned and how are your friends and family, you really know your real friends when you get those calls, mm-hmm. and that means a lot. So yeah, that was quite nice to see.
Well, fantastic. Simon, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you for taking me.
Best of luck for the future, and I look forward to 2021. Big things happening.
Thank you very much.